Going to cover the Terrafile concept in this video. This is under Docs, Terrafile. So the Terrafile concept is a place where you can define all your modules that you want to use centrally, and you can source the modules from your own GitHub repositories, other GitHub repositories, the Terraform registry, S3 buckets, or GCS buckets. There's a lot of different sources you could actually grab the module code from. This allows you to centrally manage your modules in a file called a Terrafile. And it looks something like this. You just say mod, the name, then source, and then you can specify whether it's GitHub or a registry here. And then what happens is the modules get downloaded into your vendor modules folder. So for example, the S3 mod here, or module, is going to get downloaded to vendor modules S3. Now the neat thing is Terraspace is going to be able to source or know that if there's a module in the vendor modules S3 right here, or app modules, it's going to download it from there, or it's going to basically use that to build the Terraspace catch Terraform project, CD in that project, and then run Terraform apply. So you could so Terraspace is smart enough to look up either location. So then when you use it, you just go module source ... modules S3, because that's where it's going to be relative within that Terraspace cache folder. Okay. As a part of this, it also generates a Terrafile Lock file, which basically locks down the exact version number of whatever you are downloading. So then when other team members in your team uses Terraspace bundle right here, it's going to then use the exact same versions of all the modules. And Terraspace bundle is actually the command you run to basically download it. Here's a note about, you can also just use the regular Terraform approach with the module and then source, and then Terraform itself can also download it. The advantage of using Terraspace is the centralization. It basically, it could centralize all your modules in one place. So you need to make a change, you just make it in one place. It's really easy to find out where it is. There's some more detailed usage on the usage docs right here, where there's a bunch of more examples. Here's a Git, so the private kind of the Git protocol here, and there's HTTPS protocol for GitHub. Here's a registry, okay, and here's a very shorthand notation of actually inferred org, which basically means, oh, this is actually not registry. This is actually just GitHub also, but where's the explicit org, and then there's infer org. So the org, see, there's no org here because it's implied from here, from this setting. Okay, so there are different kind of ways to specify things. And then the options in the Terrafile are all kind of covered in the options link right here, where there's like a mod level option and there's a Terrafile level option. And then here's just covering Terraspace bundle again. Here's covering the usage again, and talking about the Terrafile lock again. Here's a important command, Terraspace bundle update. It's going to show that shows you how to update the Terrafile lock, because when you run Terraspace bundle initially, there's no Terrafile lock file yet, usually. So then it's going to generate one. Then after that, it's going to use the lock file. So then if you want to update the lock file, there are two ways. You can delete the lock file, run Terraspace bundle, or you can run Terraspace bundle update, and then it's going to update the lock file for you with the latest versions of the modules. There's also a convenient Terraspace bundle list command, so you can see what modules are Terraspace bundle kind of sees, and then there's this Terraspace bundle info, and then the module name that you can see more information about the module. Here's a stack option that I'm going to cover kind of later in the video, but the stack option is going to allow you to basically download the example that's usually provided within modules, and then have a working, actually deployable stack right away. Okay, I did want to cover the options page, so let's go next page right here. Okay, so again, Terrafile has a bunch of different options. There's options in the mod level, the Terrafile level, and the config level. And really, the main two you're going to use is the mod level and Terrafile level. But the mod level is essentially on that line where you define the module. These is just referring to the options available to this line right here. So source is one of the options. Subfolder here is the option right here, where basically you're saying download it from this source. Let's say it's a GitHub repo. It's going to download that, and then the module is actually resides in a subfolder within that repo. So that's why you have the subfolder option. So that's what the subfolder option is about. You can also use Terraform's kind of // notation. If you guys are more familiar with that, most notations support it. Here's like an export to option. Let's say you don't want to export it to vendor modules, so you can export it to another folder. Stack option, like I said, I'm going to cover that in another video more thoroughly. Version, you can specify the version you want exactly, or you can specify maybe like a more loose version by specifying the branch name like master or main. Clone width, by default, it uses the HTTPS protocol, and then you can actually specify different protocols to use and all that. So the model level gives you kind of very fine-grained control over the options at that line, okay? The Terrafile level module is like for the entire Terrafile. And this is kind of a global option. So you could change the base clone URL instead of using github.com. You could change it to git at and use the protocol. So then you don't have to specify the option on every single line. You just specify it kind of globally one time. Export to is the same thing as this export to option up here. So again, once again, it's globally, okay? Export purge. This is true by default. And what that does is it's going to basically wipe out all the vendor modules every single time at the beginning when you run Terraspace bundle. But you could actually set that false and then you keep that, but then you're relying on that behavior, okay? Stack options is the same thing as the individual stack option, except this is at the kind of Terrafile level again globally. And clone width, same deal. You can use either HTTPS or Git, okay? So you can see when you specify the Terrafile level options, like it's just you put it anywhere in that Terrafile file, usually at the top. That's where it makes sense to me. And the config level is essentially kind of even more fine-grained control if you're working more directly with the Ruby SDK essentially. So you're not going to use this too much, but you do have access to it, to app config actually. But yeah, so those are all the options. There are again different sources that is going to be that is supported. You can use GitHub, you can use Bitbucket, GitLab, Registry, S3, GSS. You could use local paths and then source different modules in. And I'm going to cover all that in additional videos here. But for the sake of this video, I want to just give a high-level introductory of what the Terrafile is, how it's kind of useful, and how it allows you to clearly make sure you use the same modules across your team members, and it kind of centrally manage everything. Okay, hopefully that was helpful. Cheers.